Hello and welcome to the TCS podcast, where we are dedicated to helping you achieve extraordinary growth and success by supplying you with the tools, resources, and support necessary to not only build profitable businesses, but to create a lasting impact on your family's, company's, community. I am Eric Guy, Director of Learning and Development. Joining me today is one of our wonderful TCS members. Like this gentleman quite a bit. Alex O'Quinn, welcome, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, pleasure to be on.
Yeah, and he says that this is his first podcast. I don't know about that, but yeah, he seems to be a natural at so many things. But he is the owner of Pavement Pro Asphalt Maintenance. He's been a TCS member. I watched him come in. But I want to talk about your background, Alex, because you're quite young to be doing what you're doing. Uh, Seem like you're very astute and know what you are doing. But let's start with your story. Give us your age and how you got where you're at, man, like so quickly.
Right. Where do we start? So, first off, my name's Alex O'Quinn. Out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma is where Pavement Pro is located, and I am 24 years old. And there's a lot of things that probably got me to where I'm at right now, but probably the first step was I was 16 years old, and I was just a high schooler, and I needed a summer job. And my buddy Austin, his dad happened to work for a paving company. He's like, "Hey, you want to work on this paving crew? We'll get some beer money for the weekends." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So, me and my two other buddies, we worked behind a paver, just shoveling and raking and messing off, jacking around, and being with the older 30, 40, 50-year-old rougher paving crew. That's what we did. And we did that through the summers, and I got to kind of be in that blue-collar environment, and I'm like, man, this is kind of cool. And I felt a lot older. There wasn't any other kids in high school working on a paving crew. They were working at Sonic or something. So I really kind of enjoyed it, and I never knew at the time that I was going to be in the paving business or anything. This is just something to get some money, so I didn't really pay attention too much, or I probably wasn't even a good shoveler or a good raker, honestly. They were probably like, this guy has no common sense. They were probably saying I was getting babysitted, probably. And so that's what happened. That went all through the high school, and then it was time to go to college. And I went to OSU, Oklahoma State University, and majored in partying and women my first year, and did that whole deal. And then COVID happened, and they shut it down. And I took that summer, and I went back to the asphalt crew to make some money, and had to go back to college. And I took business classes, and I'm sitting here in this entrepreneurship and business class thinking, man, I cannot see myself doing another 3.5 more years of this stuff. And it's talking about entrepreneurship, and something kind of just struck a chord. And I'm like, man, I remember how to seal coat those parking lots back with my buddies in high school. I mean, we were the ones doing the work. That didn't seem so bad. So I kind of just took a leap, and I dropped out of college, and I started working for someone else, a kind of a smaller family-owned outfit. And I looked and I worked for them, and I took notes of what they did good and how they made money and kind of where their inefficiencies were. And I saved up some money, and I dropped out, and I bought a truck off Marketplace and started knocking doors. And before I started knocking doors, though, I had all the free resources. There's a couple of guys out there that were selling their services and how to get started, this and that. And I looked at it. I never purchased anything, but I kind of just did methodical planning over that year while I was working for someone else. And I had a checklist of all the tools I needed to buy and what it cost. And as soon as I had the money to buy a truck and buy the tools, that's what I did. And I just didn't look back. I started off doing small driveways, did good work, got Google reviews. And another reason of why I kind of started in this business, Eric, is because I saw there was no branded social media people in the paving world. Like, all these paving companies, they're not branded. They don't have a good social media presence. And I'm like, man, it shouldn't be hard. I see other guys in New York, and they're asphalt guys, and they're doing it, but no one in Oklahoma. You don't see them on a billboard. You don't see them with branded company trucks and wraps and reviews. So it only took me a year to get more Google reviews than anyone else in my state, pretty much in my industry. And one day I was knocking doors, and the next day I was picking up the phone saying, "Hey, can you give me a quote on this massive parking lot?" And then from those 2 days, it was like, whoa. Then it just took off, and it still doesn't feel real sometimes what's going on.
Yeah, it is crazy, and I've watched you just grow in the past year,
Oh yeah.
and it's been exciting. Um, so being younger, I don't want to kind of belittle the point. I respect it, right? Because I have unfortunately or fortunately, I guess I should say, I have kids your age, and they're doing really well. And there are some people out there that will say, this newer generation coming in isn't very motivated and things like that. And I think I believe that overall. But there are some of you out there that are really breaking the mold and going after it. And I'm a big believer in you, and I'm a big advocate for you. But like, as you start out younger, what are some of the bigger challenges, or what have been your biggest challenges starting out so young?
Um, Starting out so young, I mean, initially it's the fear. It's the fear factor of taking the risk, and
Hmm.
not listening to all the limiting doubts and self doubts your mind will tell you, and not listening to other people, like especially coming from a smaller town environment. Starting out, a lot of people will try and hold you back from taking that risk. So it's not listening to that; it's having the confidence in your faith and the confidence in what your mission is. Um, and then after that, once you get started, the troubles are the sacrifices that you're gonna have to sacrifice. You're gonna have to sacrifice hanging out with all your buddies that are doing the fun activities that aren't business minded and that keep you in the same cycle and the same loop. So sacrifices are a big thing once you kind of get into business and start getting some traction. And then once initial onset I had is once you start making some revenue, not blowing it, using it and reinvesting it. And I kind of see some people, they get into business, they start making money, and then they're in the same position for the next 3 or 4 years, and they're leveling up because they don't know how to, they don't have a bigger vision for the company.
Yeah, what surprised you the most about running your own business at the stage of life you're in right now?
What surprised me the most about running my own business?
Yeah, at your age, what are you most surprised about?
Man, that's a kind of tough question,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, but a lot of things that surprised me about running my business at a young age is just the connections that you make and how fast things can start to spiral once you become on the right track. It's crazy. If you'd have told me 4 years ago that I'd be in the place that where I'm in, talking to all the guys at TCS and being able to have a crew running, I'd say you're crazy. I would say, oh, I made it. I would think it's hard to believe, and I would be ecstatic. But what surprised me how fast things can really just I almost don't at first. It's almost doesn't feel like you are worthy to accept the business that comes your way. But so really, what just surprised me is how fast I've grown it. Honestly.
Yeah, and it's been fun watching. It definitely has been very fun watching. Have there been any uh, key mentors or role models that help kind of guide you through this process?
Oh yes, without a doubt, without a doubt. So I would say the first 2 years of my business, I wouldn't even call it a business. I was just putting some sealer on some driveways and making enough money not to have to work until I needed ran out of money and found another driveway.
Yeah.
And I did that for a year and a half, and I started getting bigger jobs. And I would say, "Hey, can I pay you for the weekend to come help me with my buddies?" And that kind of started getting harder to do, and I kind of just felt a calling to grow the business. And about that same time, I ran into a mentor of mine named Chad McLean in Oklahoma City, and he grew a landscaping business to a multi-million-dollar business, and now he was a business consultant. And I met him in the gym just working out. A guy was like, "Hey, you want to?" I was asking this guy about business. He was a turf guy, and I bugged him. Said, "Hey, man, can I?" He's like, "You want to talk about business? Go talk to that guy." And this guy, Chad McLean, he really helped me focus on a kingdom mindset about growing the business. I was focused on profits and I was focused on growing the business. And I didn't really understand about treating your employees well or treating your customers right. And he gave me a foundation of treating your customers, your profit, and your employees all on the level playing field. You try to get too much profit, your customer satisfaction goes down. You try to pay your employees less, and your profit goes up, and it just doesn't work out that way. So really, just having integrity and running things, becoming organized, setting up Google Drive, Excel sheets. I just needed someone to push me to that level, and Chad really did it. So I hired him on for about 4 months, and I don't personally hire him anymore, and then I have mentors such as TCS, Brian Hess was kind of my next mentor after Chad, and I feel like eventually I will forever be a learner and always become a student, and would love to have more mentors. I would like to always be surrounded with people that know more than me.
Mm-hmm. Like, I run into a lot of people your age just because of what I do, right, inside of other companies and things. And, the question that they ask me is always for advice and, who should I get to mentor, those kinds of things. What advice would you give other younger people thinking about jumping into business ownership early, like
Don't do
you
it.
did
No,
yourself?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Uh, Advice, find a mentor would be great. Yeah. If I could give advice from someone wanting to start a business, it would be find a mentor. It would be work for someone else and have a burning desire and plan, and manifest it, right? Your checklist, right? See the vision before you go out and do it. Not doesn't always necessarily have to be the case. Some people can plan too long and never jump into action. So if that's you, jump into it and force yourself to figure it out on the spot. But if you want to jump into business, plan it out, see a vision, and go all in for it, and find a mentor.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a great time to do it, right? You don't have as many responsibilities. You might as well do it
You
now,
don't have
right?
anything to lose. You don't have kids. You don't have a whole lot of debt, hopefully, if unless you spent too much time in college. What do you got to lose? You can start back over. You can always go back and work that same job you were working.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Um, Speaking about like leadership and business lessons, I know you're on, a lot of the calls, you come to the meetups, the retreats. What's one leadership lesson you've had to learn the hard way?
Ooh. Um, Doing it myself, honestly, as hard as it is to admit, whether it's leading my fiance or leading my team, I can't slack off once or miss one, be late to, if I tell the crew we're going to be at the shop at 6:30 and I show up at 6:35, that looks terrible on me. And I had to learn that the hard way. And I was kind of bumfuzzled at first about why things weren't going my way. And it's because I wasn't truly living out what I wanted to see throughout my team. And I might have lived it out 80% of the time, but if I'm not living it out 100% of the time, then it just doesn't, the message doesn't get through all the way. But I'm sure
How
there's
many
like
sta
there's
how many
plenty others I can think of. Go ahead, Eric.
I was just wondering how many uh, staff you have now.
I have about 5 guys. So I have one salesman, and I have about 4 guys in the field that either is on one crew or we'll split them up into two. And then I have a guy on the weekends that is a labor hand who has a Monday through Friday job.
Wow. And I would imagine that most of them, I'm just gonna guess here, most of them are older than you.
Everyone but one of them, yes, yes.
And what's your experience with that, managing somebody that might be older or a little bit more experienced than you?
Oh yeah, it's a struggle. Of course, one thing I just try and go by is the respect. I know if I treat someone with respect, and they're a respectable person, that I can usually get that respect back. But that's not always the case. One thing I try to do when I think about my employees is, if I were an employee, what would I want? How would I want to be treated? So I just try to take care of them. You know, I pay them well. I never belittle them. I'll come and say, hey, what do you think about this? Before I make a decision, I'll ask all the crew members, and I'll get their opinion on things. I never make someone feel less just because they're lower in the totem pole in the company organization.
We talk a lot about culture here at TCS. What have you learned about building a strong company culture?
What I've learned is that I need to hire. Everyone should hire off character and values instead of skill. I learned that skill in this industry, the guys that have the most skill usually have a vice or a characteristic that is bad for the company culture. So guy might be the best asphalt raker and paver, but he shows up late and he just shows up whenever he wants. And that shows the 19-year-old kid who has great work ethic and great determination but no skill, that'll never allow him to become a great employee in the company because of the worker that has a bad toxic trait for the culture. So that's one thing I've learned is just don't let one person in your company invade and get the rest of the company sick with their toxic culture.
What habits or routines help keep you grounded and focused? I mean, you talked about, hey, look, I have to make sacrifices. If you're young, you're going to have to make sacrifices and not go out, and you're going to have to delay that gratification, right? Because it's probably real easy, especially at your age, to get pulled into, hey, let's go out and do this, let's go out and do that, and you've got to stay focused on the business. What keeps you grounded and focused?
Man, well, I'll tell you what, when I don't do the routine, that's when I go crazy and I say something I shouldn't have said, or I regret how my interactions throughout the day. One thing my mentor, Chad McLean, who I'll touch back on recently, kind of shared his routine with me, and something I follow is just securing my peace before the day starts. So that could mean anything for anyone, but it starts like this. It starts up waking up at 4:35 a.m. and not picking up my phone and checking my emails, but sitting in my closet on my knees praying, or sitting in my living room with my eyes closed and kind of just going over and praying for the things that I am struggling with or maybe I need help with or are on my mind. And I don't leave until I sort all those things out. And once I get all those things out, once I slow down and I sort them out, I speed up and I go push my body, whether that's a 3-mile run, whether that's a high rocks workout, it doesn't matter. After I secure my peace, I speed up. And then after I speed up, I come back home, I take a shower, and I slow back down for about 30 minutes. And if I do that, that is what keeps me grounded, and that is what allows me to go through things and to handle problems without just blowing my lid. It keeps my patience better throughout the day. It keeps my fuse a little bit longer, and it helps me in so many ways, honestly, physically, mentally, all of them.
All right. Well, good. Well, it can be done, right? It can be
It
done. I'm
is.
hoping you're
It can be
inspiring
done.
people through this.
Yes, it can be done. Yes, it's a daily battle. I wake up every day and I try to kill that little B word inside of me because that's what has to be done. You know, I have to.
So let's talk about your TCS experience. How'd you get involved with TCS?
Oh man, I remember getting a DM from a guy in TCS about 2 years ago. I don't even think I replied to him because I didn't have that abundance growth mindset. Oh, I got to pay this much to. It could have been $100. I would have said it was too expensive. And I see this with young business owners everywhere. They won't buy the tool because they think it
Yeah.
costs too much. They'd rather just work hard. But so I ignored it. I'm like, no, I'm not taking no business because I didn't see the value in it. I was scared to spend the money because I was trying to hold on to it tight like a baby versus letting it go, then taking the value of it. So I ignored the message from TCS, and then I met that mentor a couple years later. I'm like, man, this guy's onto something. I'm paying this mentor something X amount a month, and other people are like, why would you pay someone that much for advice? You're crazy. I'm like, all right, you're crazy, whatever, good. And then after a couple months, I'm seeing just from his advice, I'm making the stuff I learned, I'm making this much money just from taking his advice. And then I see a post on Facebook, someone shared it's a Brian Hess post, some long post, and it just was like morally right and sound and business and doing the right. I'm like, what? Who is this guy? You know? So I send him a message like, dude, what's your number or something? And I'm just like walking around in my front yard, and one summer, me and Brian Hess, I'm just walking around like I'm talking to the CIA, and me and Brian Hess just go on for an hour, and he's like, I'll put you in touch with Jim. I'm like, dude, I'm doing it. Sign me out. I don't even, Jim could tell me to F off, and I'll still join, the group. I talked to Jim, and it all worked out. I went to the TCS meetup last fall, met everyone, kept up with all the curriculum throughout the winter, used that curriculum to plan my business out. You guys helped me get a salesman on board, give him his duties, his general roles, and any questions I had, I could have reached out to you guys. Granted, I didn't. So if anyone's seeing this, reach out and ask those questions. If you don't know what to ask, call the guys up, and they'll ask the questions that you need to figure out and walk you through it.
Yeah, we just got finished actually this past weekend. I don't know when this will air, Alex, but this past weekend we just had another meetup, which was fantastic. I feel like I might be a little biased, but I feel like they just keep getting better and better. But if you could narrow it down to one or two big takeaways from the program, what would you say are the biggest takeaways from being a member of TCS?
There's a couple, but one of them is like just signing up. It forces you to take that step, into learning and to growing your business. So we get so caught up in try and work in our business and focus in on it, but how often would we actually go out and seek resources or look at it from a different perspective from the outside looking in? And TCS forces you to think about your business. When I'm in the education sessions, it stimulates my brain to think about, all right, what these guys are putting on the projection, how can I implement that in my business? And it just sparks something I would have never thought of if I would have just been in my business, or I can't just go ask ChatGPT my business model and it would spit me out that question. So that's one of them. And then the second is just the conversations in the community. There's not anyone in Oklahoma really that's an asphalt contractor that's my age or is even 10 or 15 years older than my age that I know who wants to scale. But there are about 20 or 25, 30, 45, 50, 60 guys in TCS that are in the paving industry, are in my industry, or in another industry that I can connect with and that understand what I go through. But my buddy that I went to high school with, he doesn't get it. My mentor that did landscaping, he doesn't quite get it. He gets business, but these guys get it, and it feels like home.
Yeah, it sure does. I just want to emphasize, though, as well, you are very involved in the community, in the TCS community, and I think that's a big part of everybody that comes through here that's grown has been very involved. So I want to make sure it's just not, people don't take that as, hey, I just signed up and everything's going great. You and others that have grown have really emphasized, getting to the events, coming into the education sessions every week. So I want to give you kudos for that. Is there any way that TCS has helped you grow personally as well?
Yes, of course, yeah. Personally, with the TCS Fitness section of the app, it's helped me grow personally. There's tons of great advice, and sometimes I'll wake up and I'll see a motivational thing from TCS Fit, and that gets me up and makes me push just a little bit harder, maybe on my morning workout. But of course, it's grown. Everything goes hand in hand. Business stuff just isn't personal. Teaching you how to be a better leader for your company is going to teach you how to be a better leader for your family, your future kids, your fiance. It's all hand in hand, in my opinion. I don't really separate.
Yeah, and you got engaged since you've been a member here, right?
Yes, yeah, I got engaged in December, so we're getting married next May.
Next May 2026.
Yep, that's it.
All right. Hopefully I get an invite.
Oh, all of TCS is coming. It's gonna be a meetup. Meetup at Alex's wedding, Oklahoma style.
There you go. Um, so what would you say to somebody sitting on the fence about joining TCS? Any advice?
Yeah, yeah. If you want to, from a monetary standpoint, if you want to make more money in your business, sign up for TCS because it's like what I was saying earlier. You spend a certain amount of money, and that certain amount of money you spend can make you 10x. So it's just a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer with all the added benefits of community and friendship and the good times, like the retreats that we get to go on. That's just an added bonus of all the educational value that TCS has provided for Pavement Pro, and the personal development
Yeah,
for Alex O'Quinn. The friends that I know I will talk to forever probably because of the connections we have formed.
I agree. You ready for the rapid fire round?
Yeah, but I will say I met like 4 or 5 famous people on my trip to TCS this weekend. Whether it was at
Oh,
the
yeah?
airport in Pittsburgh, I mean Michael McHenry, DJ Bonix, Wiz Khalifa's DJ, a singer at the airport, a UFC fighter when I got home at the airport, and one more I can't think of. But it was a good time.
Wow, that's a heck of a trip, man.
Yes, it was a good time. Rapid
All
fire.
right, here we go. All right, here we go. Six rapid fire questions. First job you ever had?
Oh, paving. Yeah, I already gave that away.
All right. Your go-to energy drink or coffee order on a work day?
I just started drinking black coffee like 6 months ago, and I drink it out of this TCS cup. I either drink it out of this one, or I have another one that's the same one that says the Pavement Group on it, and I have a Pavement Pro sticker. But my fiance has a pot of coffee for me, ready for me. So lately I've been on the coffee grind. But before 6 months, I would try not to even drink coffee or energy drinks. I try to get my energy through eggs and avocados and natural fats. But if I know I got something to get into, like this morning, a
All
coffee
right.
helped me mentally stimulate the conversation a little bit.
Favorite piece of equipment or tool?
Oh, seal coat machine. I love that thing. That thing just prints money by the second. Love a good seal coat, man.
One person you would love to shadow for a day?
Brian Hess, or one of the guys in TCS that has a big paving slash seal coat operation that doesn't have to pull their hair out, doesn't have that much gray hair at their age, and I would just love to shadow them and see how they manage their organization without having to be in the field.
Gotcha. What's your hype song before a big day?
Uh, Hype song before a big day. Probably a good day by Nappy Roots. And one where it's like, it's gonna be a good day, and all my homies
Yep.
gonna ride today. I like that one. I like listen to that one on the way to a job.
I love it.
But
And then the last one, finish.
go ahead, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say lately, the Brian Hess podcast show. Every time that intro and outro come on, I'm just like, whatever it
Yeah.
takes, dude. It's like that's what it is.
Yeah, you know
That's all I
what's
like to
funny
say.
about that, Alex? I'm glad you said that because every time I'm in here, I've been doing that with him for almost every Wednesday. I still love to hear that song. That gets me up
Oh,
and going too.
oh, I know. I
Yeah,
want my
I
own
would
little
agree.
like cameo. How Brian's like, success is what pushes the rock up the mountain. I'm just like, come on. And I just like, I need my own to like say something like. No, I love it though.
Oh, good. And the last one, finish the sentence. Success at a young age means.
Sacrifice or freedom
All
or
right.
freedom.
Okay.
Success or freedom. Because in
Wonderful,
my mind,
wonderful.
success is freedom.
I love it. How do people get in touch with you if they want to reach out to you, Alex?
All right, you can search Pavement Pro on Instagram, or you can search Alex O'Quinn on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I don't have Twitter, or TikTok. So Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. That's all the social media profiles we're on. And if you want to leave us a Google business review, search up Pavement Pro Asphalt Maintenance in Oklahoma.
Yeah. All right. All right. All right. Any last words for anybody in any capacity? Any last words?
No, just have a good day, really. Until next time, and I'd love to be a guest on any other podcast that comes up. So if anyone has a podcast, I'd love an invitation.
All right. Yeah, he's ready to go now. We got him warmed up. This was his first one,
Oh yeah.
and you did a great job, buddy.
Oh, thank you. I
Uh,
appreciate it.
and all right, guys. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode of the TCS podcast. Until next time, keep leading, keep growing, and keep winning. We'll see you later.
See you guys.